start. Hello everybody, it's Zara, and here I am again with another process from the book Ask and It Is Given. And today the process we're going to do is process number 10, and the name of the process is the Placemat Process. Now, even before we get into this, the one thing that I want to say to you is that the Placemat process is extremely similar to one of the processes that we did before, and it is process number 20, turning it over to the manager. You will find that video as well on my channel, and there's a lot of similarity in the two processes, because in both of them, you are giving over to the universe what you want to manifest. The difference is that there's a difference between handing over a desire to the universe and handing over a task to the universe. Task meaning something that is on your list of things to do, and desire is something different. It's more like a longer term goal. It's like, I want to buy a house in 5 years, or I would like a new car next year. Those are goals. Whereas tasks are, I need to call this person today, I have to book my tickets for my trip today, I need to go grocery shopping today. Those are tasks. So the underlying principle is the same between process number 20 and process number 10. However, there's that difference of how immediate that task is, okay? And sorry, one is a task and the other one is a goal. So basically in the Placemat process, we are looking at lists of things to do. That's what this process is all about. It's when you feel a shortage of time, when you feel that you have so much to accomplish and not enough time to do it, and you kind of start feeling overwhelmed. You start feeling a burden on your shoulders because you feel like you have responsibility to get things done, and you're not able to get to all the things that you would like to have done. Oops, sorry. Here. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with in this process. The one thing I want you to understand is that it doesn't matter which process we look at. In all the processes that have to do with the law of attraction, we are handing things over to the universe. We are asking the universe to assist us. And all of the processes and all of the discussion that we have about law of attraction is about finding ways that you can actually hand things over to the universe. And that, at the end of the day, if we look at religious terminology, that is what trust and faith are all about. So trust is about handing it over to God or the universe. I use the terms interchangeably. I know some people in today's day and age have a problem with God. I have no issues with God, and I have no issues with law of attraction and the universe either. In fact, I'll explain something to you. And this was a discussion that took place in my meditation circle last week is, do you think that God is, and there is a God, like there is a consciousness that we call God? And if there is, then do you think that that consciousness is fair? And if that consciousness is always fair to everyone, then that consciousness must have a system in order to bring together things that people are asking for. There must be a system that's always fair and always consistent and works the same way each and every time. And if the answer to that is yes, God is fair and God must have a system. God does not play favorites. God must have a system in order to allocate things. Then that system is what law of attraction is. Okay, so that's a little bit of a deviation from our topic tonight, but let's get back into it. So first of all, let's see what Abraham says, what their recommendation is about when to do this process. So when you want to more effectively utilize your universal manager, that concept is what we looked at in process number 20, handing it over to the manager, right? Because that's what that process was called. When you want to create your own reality more through the flowing of energy rather than action. So this is a really important thing to understand. What is the role of action? And I think that in this chapter or this process, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at, is action required? Now, nowhere does Abraham ever say that action is not required. They always teach us to take inspired action. So we're going to learn more about that in this chapter. Okay, so then next they say, when you want to create your own reality, less through the offering of your own action and more through the flowing of energy. When you feel you have too much to do, when you want more time to do more things that bring you pleasure. So those are the reasons for using this process. And a lot of it is about the shortage of time, feeling a shortage of time, feeling a shortage of resources. Okay, so then Abraham says that the best time to do this process is when you are between set point number 2, which is passion, and set point number 11, which is feeling overwhelmed. So this area of the emotional scale is where this process is the most appropriate. So here in this discussion on this process, Abraham is actually telling a story about Jerry and Esther and how the process came about. So the story is that Esther has a very long list of things to do. And 25, so let's see how many years, almost 30 years ago, when Esther first started following Abraham and doing events all over the country, she had a very long list of things to do, which she would carry with her in a little book. So when she went over her list on a daily basis, it used to make her feel quite overwhelmed. Because at that point in time, Abraham Hicks publication was very small. It was a very small organization, Jerry, Esther, and maybe a couple of people. And she is the type of person who you might call an A-type personality or a control freak, because she likes to control everything. She wants to know what's happening and how things are getting done. And I think she might have relaxed by this time, but way back when, she was still very much an A-type personality. And I have to tell you that way back, I too was a very A-type personality, and I had control issues exactly the same way as Esther does. And I often say to people in my meditation circle that I used to be like a wind-up toy. You wind it up and you let it go and it spins around in circles, and by the end of the day, it's spent all its energy and it's done. And you feel spent, right? So when you're that kind of a person who has so many things to get done during the day, this process helps you relax. It helps you de-stress. It helps you understand that you're not alone, that the universe has your back, and that the universe is there helping you with everything that you want. So going back to the story, Jerry and Esther were having lunch at a restaurant, and Esther was feeling overwhelmed about her list of things to do. So she asked Abraham for help, and Abraham then suggested taking a big piece of paper, and at that time the only big piece of paper was the placemat. in front of them. So it was a paper placemat, and Esther turned it over, drew a line in between, as Abraham told her to do, and then Abraham said, dividing it into two, things that I will do today on the left side, and on the right side, things that I would like the universe to do. And then Abraham suggested, put only those things on your side of the placemat that you absolutely need to get done today, and move everything else over to the side of the universe. And so that is what Esther did. The thing that happened as a result of it, because remember, in law of attraction, everything is about our emotions. Our emotions are extremely important in creating our manifestations. So when Esther moved things over to the side of the universe's side of the list, she felt a lot better. She felt a lot lighter. It was like all that responsibility that she was carrying on her shoulders moved, and it was over to the universe. And that, my dear friends, that is what trust and faith is all about. Just taking stuff and moving it over to the other side of the line doesn't actually accomplish anything unless you are actually in a place of trusting the universe. When you say, universe, here, I'm giving this to you, then give it. And don't keep thinking that you still have to do it. Because if you still keep thinking that you are the one who has to do it, then you haven't really given it over. You're still trying to control the process. And if you're trying to control the process, then the universe cannot take it over. Because the way you want things to happen might be different from what the universe knows to be the easier path, the more enjoyable path, the more fruitful path for you. So it's almost like, have you heard those stories where you want something? Let's say you want a job, okay? Because last process also we were talking about something similar. So let's say you're looking for work, and you look at the job boards every day, and you send out your resumes, and then you get sick and tired of doing that, right? So you just give it up. And you say, I give up. I can't make this happen. It'll happen whenever it's meant to happen. Universe, I'm giving it to you. I don't know what else to do because I'm at my wit's end. I've used whatever I knew how to do. So then you just give it to the universe, and now you think, okay, maybe I'm going to go to the coffee shop and get myself a coffee and just sit there and look at other people come and go and just help myself to unwind. So you go to the coffee shop, and you bump into someone on your way there, and then this person that you bump into, you apologize, and then they start talking to you. They say, oh, that doesn't matter. How are you? Who are you? What are you doing? And then you just happen to say, well, I'm looking for a job. And they say, oh, really? What do you do? And then you tell them, and they say, wow, do you have a resume on you? Has that ever happened to you? Because I can tell you it's happened to me. And I can tell you that it has happened to other people that I know. I know of people who have struck business deals in standing in the queue for coffee. And not just tiny business deals, and I mean huge, big business deals. And that is because when you give up, you allow the universe to control. And then the universe can bring you those opportunities. So really, it is about relinquishing responsibility. When you hand something over to the universe, you have to relinquish responsibility for it. In my own life, I learned to do that with my son, because my son, by the time my son was born, I was already on the law of attraction path, and I was already following Abraham Hicks. I had looked at all the other options, and I had selected Abraham Hicks, and I was already beginning to understand Abraham Hicks. And I understood from Abraham that the more you leave children alone, the better they are able to fend for themselves. So from being an extremely worried and concerned parent, I had to teach myself to stop doing that, because I started understanding that when I worry about my child, I'm actually sending my child a negative vibration that is hurting my child. So, of course, when I found that out, I learned to stop doing that. And over a period of time, I learned to relax. So, for me, food, making sure that my children get enough sleep and enough food is extremely important. And so I used to get all stressed out about making sure that there was food in the house for them to eat. It had to be fresh, it had to be what they wanted to eat, it had to be prepared well, and it had to be ready for them and easy for them to get to. And then I had to teach myself that it was okay for me to relax about it, because my children were not helpless and they could fend for themselves. And as I started to accept that my children would be able to fend for themselves, I started seeing the evidence of my relaxation, because my children started doing things for themselves. My son particularly, because my daughter moved away, she was older. But my son particularly surprised me by starting to get his own meals. And now, I'm so proud of him. He's 16 now, and he is a superb cook. And I never now have to worry about feeding him. In fact, he feeds me sometimes, but I don't have to worry about him. It's like total de-stress. He can look after himself. If there's a food ingredient that's missing and he needs it for his recipe, he knows where the grocery store is. And he has been able to, and he's surprised me with all these things that he showed me he could do. That he could just go over to the grocery store and grab whatever he needed and prepare a meal for himself. And so I learned that I was the one who made things difficult by making it my job. But as soon as I started understanding that wasn't my job, the universe was able to guide my son. And isn't it wonderful that he is so independent, that he is so confident, and that he can do all these things on his own? So from being a mother who was afraid of her child holding a knife in her hand, so for my daughter, to now teaching my son. And at one point in time, I had a video on my YouTube where my son was actually cooking. And at that point in time, I think he was maybe 6 or 7 years old. And I have this video of him cutting chicken and cooking butter chicken. And I'm so proud of that. I'm proud of him, and I'm also proud of me. But what I'm not trying to tell you a story about myself. What I'm trying to tell you is that it does take work. Your thoughts go there, and you have to say, no, I am not going to worry about this, because I've asked the universe to look after this for me. And so I am going to trust that the universe is doing exactly that. And then you start seeing the evidence of what you've set forth. And when the evidence comes, then you feel so happy and relaxed. So I'm going to say to you, if you are someone who makes long list of things to do, now, for example, me, I don't even make long lists of things to do. In fact, I don't make lists of things to do at all. Because I trust that whatever needs to be done will come to me, and I will get it done in time. So I just pick 3 things every day that I absolutely have to get done. And I use this process. And in fact, this process is part of the Unlimited book. Because in the Unlimited book, one of the exercises that we do is handing it over to the universe. So you take over things that you would have done anyway, that you have to do. Like, things like going to work and getting stuff done, things that absolutely are, you have to get them done today. Only those, and I only pick 3 or 4, and put them on my list. And then I hand everything else over to the universe and don't even think about it. I don't think about whether or not when is it going to happen, how is it going to happen, because I know it's not my job, and that's what I want you to learn. It's not your job. It's like delegating something to an employee and then micromanaging that employee. If you were that employee, you would not like it. And if you were that employer, you wouldn't have made your life easier by employing this person. I remember my mother used to do that. My mother, when we lived in Pakistan, my mother had a cleaning lady who came and she cleaned the house. But my mother went into every room and watched her do everything that she was doing and gave her instructions on how to do it. So I was like, if you're going to do that, why don't you just do it yourself, right? So that's the problem. Don't try and micromanage the universe. Can you please comment below? I'm not going to micromanage the universe. The universe knows more, has more resources, and knows the best ways of getting things done. Why would you want to micromanage the universe? But listen, that is exactly what you do when you worry. That is exactly what you do when you make a long list of things to do and you ask the universe to do them for you, but then you don't let go. Me, I let go. I don't even think about it. In fact, the 3 things that I put on my list of things to do, I ask the universe to help me with them. And I do that by pre-paving as well. Because every time you pre-pave, you're asking the universe to help you with whatever task is right before you. And it makes that task easier just in your mind, because now you know that you've got help. Whereas before, when a list of things to do feels overwhelming, really what you're doing is you're saying, oh my God, I've got all of this to do. And I have no help to do it. But then when you understand that the universe is so powerful and that universe, the whole universe is coming to help you with what you want help with, oh my God, you no longer feel alone. And you feel that you have power, and you feel that everything is going to fall into place. And it does. But you have to start having that faith and trust that Abraham is talking about, the way Esther moved things over to the universe's side of the placemat, and then she felt lighter. Why did she feel lighter? Well, because she had not only moved the items on the list over to the universe, she had also moved the responsibility. You cannot move stuff over and ask the universe for help and then still hold yourself responsible. It's counterproductive. Sorry, I do get excited about this stuff. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. It really is all about giving it over with trust. With trust and faith. And just stop trying to micromanage the universe. Okay? Is that a deal? All right. Okay, so let's see, what else does Abraham say about it? So, what Esther experienced in the next few days left her feeling amazed. Not only was she able to easily accomplish her own short and manageable list, but the items on the universe's side of the placemat were accomplished too, but without requiring Esther's time, attention, or action, because that's what happens when you give things over to the universe. People she had been unable to reach by phone called her. Employees on her staff felt inspired to assist her in some way, and they would accomplish something that was on Esther's list and then report it to her after it was done. Without Esther's attention or request, time seemed to stretch to allow more to be accomplished, and her timing with people and places and traffic improved dramatically. The placemat process caused Esther to focus her desires more specifically and for the first time to release her resistance regarding the same. So, going back to it, let's talk about action now. So, when to take action? What does it mean to take inspired action? Taking inspired action, in my experience, means You give it over to the universe, and then you wait for the impulse to pick up the phone, the impulse to get in the car and go, the impulse to read the newspaper, the impulse to Google something, the impulse. You wait for that impulse. Law of attraction does not say do not take action. What law of attraction says is take inspired action. Action is one of the ways in which we utilize our guidance system, and I have a whole chapter. I don't know. I think it's in this book. In this book, Manifesting Mistakes, I talk about action and the role of action in a lot of detail. It is a huge, big mistake that people make. Either they think that no action is required in law of attraction, or they misunderstand how to take action. And so that is why I wrote in this. Let's see, where is it? Because I can tell you it was inspired, but I can't find it just now. So I'm going to leave it there. Oh, here it is. Taking action and manifesting. Yes, there's a whole chapter on it. So procrastination is one of the subjects that I deal with in this book. Anyway, coming back to it. So then Abraham says, and this is really important to understand. This is the last point in this chapter that is really, really useful to understand. You do not have to keep telling the universe what you want. Because once you tell the universe once, that is enough. You only have to tell the universe once. But the advantage of continuing to talk about what is it that you want is to get more clear on your request. For example, just saying, I want a relationship. That's very general, and general is fine. But then the universe says, okay, what sort of a relationship? Do you want a relationship with a man or a woman? Do you want a same-sex relationship? The universe wants more information on your desire. So yes, the universe does bring you things sometimes that are in response to your asking, but then the universe is asking you a question. And the question is this satisfying? And when you look at it and you say, oh no, that's not satisfying. I prefer for it to be this way, or this way, or this way, until you reach a point where you are absolutely clear about what you want. And okay, so let me read this because I think it was really well worded. You do not have to keep telling the universe what you want. You only have to tell the universe once. But the advantage of continuing to talk about it is that you get clearer about it. Usually, you cannot clearly articulate everything you want with your first statement. So the more you talk about it, the more you fine-tune it. But as you say, I want it, the universe begins manifesting it. And then when you say, I would like it to be this way, the universe modifies that. You say, and a bit of this would be nice, and the universe, you see what we are getting at? The universe responds to each one of these. I would like a little bit of this, and a little bit of this, and a little bit of this. And once you are clear about what you want, once you have zeroed in on it and you know what you want, it is on its way to you. It is done. The manifestation of it will probably follow later, however, because most often there is enough resistance that you will not receive it instantly. And that is the important thing to understand, because a lot of times people get extremely impatient with when they ask for something. And remember one thing, folks, impatience always pushes things further away. If you are impatient about manifesting something, maybe you've been wanting it for a very long time, but really where you are today and who you have become and where your understanding is today about law of attraction and how things happen, you did not have this clarity before. You did not have this understanding before. You are a new person, and you have to give this new person time to manifest. Instead of saying, oh, I'm here now and I understand law of attraction, so please give it to me right now. I want it right this minute. That's not how it works, folks, because we have accumulated resistance along the way. And the universe will take us around that resistance. We don't necessarily have to chop it up and break it down in order to get rid of it. The universe knows how to take us around it. But going the longer way, going around an obstacle takes a longer time period. So you've got to let it happen. You've got to be patient. You've got to give it the time that it needs. All right, folks, I had fun with that. I hope you did too. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night with process number 9. Take care, have fun, enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.